You've all been waiting for it. I know you have. You might not have known that you were waiting for this, but I know that you've been waiting for this. Triceratops Jr.'s definitive list of the best Legend of Zelda games. Now, let me preface this because I still get your hate comments about my Borderlands tier list, because I didn't preface saying that this is my list, this is my opinion, this ain't some like subjective, objective bullshit. This is me. This is my list, okay? Now, I made these categories here, okay? We've got God tier for just the creme de la creme, the best Legend of Zelda games out there. We got darn tootin' for those good games that are real dang good, but they're not God tier. We've got It's Okay, which is the meh category, not bad, not good, it just is. We got trash tier for those terrible, terrible, terrible Legend of Zelda games, which there are a few, and they know which ones they are. I guarantee you they know which ones they are. And then there's the D for didn't play category, because I didn't play all these games, and I'm not going to lie to you about having played them. So yeah, that category just exists as a reason. I'm moving my hands a lot. I do that sometimes. Okay, without further ado, let's get into it. So, first off, we've got Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, Four Swords Adventure. This is my second time doing this intro because I read that as A Link to the Past. I didn't see the Four Swords there, and it threw me off for a second. But Four Swords Adventure, okay? I played this game like long time ago on GameCube, if I remember correctly. I want to say it was a GameCube, and it came with another game. But basically, Four Swords Adventure is a fun game to play with your friends, but it's not a great Zelda game. It's really not. Like, it's a fun, like, one-time experience kind of thing, but it's not great. It by no means belongs in the trash tier. Other games will go in the trash tier. It's an okay game, okay? Not great, not terrible. It just is. So, next up, we've got the actual Link to the Past. I'm gonna put this bad boy in the darn tootin' tier. Now, hear me out on this one. A Link to the Past is a very, very, very good game. But, and there's a big but here, for me personally, okay? Personally, not y'all, me. I gotta over exemplify this. Me. I think that the dungeon design in A Link to the Past is a little bland at points and a little repetitive. It not as repetitive as some other games, mind you, because some Zelda games, damn, are they repetitive. But Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, gets kind of repetitive for me, in my personal opinion. Okay, just leave it at that. Here we go. Next one, Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. I did not own a 3DS. I've heard very good things about A Link Between Worlds, but I have not played it, so I'm not gonna rank it. Next up, Breath of the Wild, the big one of the ones you're all waiting for, because you either love Breath of the Wild or you hate Breath of the Wild. And I think Breath of the Wild has some absolutely like god tier moments in it. I made a whole ass video about the intro to this game because it's that just chef's kiss good. I didn't mean to drop it in god tier yet, or at all. Wink wink. Basically though, I think it's gotta fall. It's, as much as it pains me a little bit, I've got to put Breath of the Wild in the darn tootin' category. It doesn't quite make god tier, and it's actually for the same exact reason, but I think to an even greater scale than A Link to the Past. Breath of the Wild, those dungeons, what are they called? They're not temples. They're the things you can. I haven't played in a while, but like the dungeon equivalents in the game, not the divine beasts, the like little spirit temple thingies, are repetitive as all hell. You do the same thing so many times, and it's just like, eh. But I do think there was some creative design with the divine beasts, and I do kind of like that system. However, I think Breath of the Wild would have been a better game if it had the same sort of classic Zelda dungeon system put into an open world. There we go. We good? Okay, what the hell is this one? Is this also Four Swords Adventure? Am I going insane? Are there more games? Hold up. There's multiple Four Swords Adventures. I might be losing my mind here. You know what? I think, okay, if there are multiple here, I didn't play this one. I think I played this one. So I'm going to put that one there, and I'll put that one in the D for didn't play. Didn't happen. It's fine. Okay, next up, Link's Awakening. This is the OG one. I don't see the remake on this list, which is fine. It's fine because I'll talk about both in this one. Link's Awakening is a cool damn game. I like it a lot. I actually enjoyed the remake more than the original. I think just the modern aesthetic they brought to it was kind of cool. At first, I was a little hit or miss on the design, but after like seeing it more and playing into it, it's cool as hell. I dig it. Plus, cool ass fishing. Like, you can't go wrong with that. In terms of the greater like scale, though, of Legend of Zelda games, it's okay. It's not my favorite game. It's by no means bad, but like, it's good, you know? It's a fun game, okay? Leave it at that. Next up, we've got the big one, Majora's Mask. You can tell right away by that big-ass moon in the background. I didn't even need to see the name. I was like, that's Majora's Mask. This is the first one I'm going to put into the God tier category. This game has had such a massive influence on, like, gaming as a whole that it has to be a God tier game. It's just, level design wise, it's a little confusing at times, and especially because I was younger when I played it and I was not the world's greatest gamer. It's a little confusing, but when you go back and you revisit the level design and just the whole aesthetic of the game and like the time system, which there's another time system in another, actually there's time systems in a lot of Zelda games, whatever, when you like the day system, I guess I should call it, it's real freaking cool the way they fit all of these different things within like a timeline, this time box, the time box. They fit everything in the time box, and they made it its own cool, badass thing, and they just freaking ran with it. Plus, they got their spooky aesthetic down. It's like to a T. It's that good. Okay. I don't want to go off the chains with that one. Next one, classic Legend of Zelda, the OG, the original. I gotta give this one a God tier. But actually, though, let me go into this one specifically because I'm giving the original Legend of Zelda a God tier, not because of how good the game is, which it is a very, very good game and super revolutionary. Like, don't get me wrong. It probably would still be in God tier even if it wasn't for this next reason I'm about to explain. But the reason I'm putting Legend of Zelda in God tier is because of the memory I have of playing this game specifically with my friend in his basement. And literally, as we played through the game, he mapped it out square by square. He made a paper map of this game. And just like playing through this game like that was such a cool and like interesting experience that it can't be anywhere other than God tier. But like I said, don't get me wrong, it probably would be God tier without that. But it is a God tier game. Next up, Ocarina of Time. This was my first Legend of Zelda game. I think it's absolutely brilliant. It's gonna go up there. It's just a damn good game. Like, there's no way around that. And in the same way that Majora's Mask was revolutionary, Ocarina of Time was legendary in its own way, and like revolutionary. That's the term I used. It's revolutionary in its own way, and I think that alone gets it that God tier spot in terms of its influence. Not as influential as the original Legend of Zelda, but still very influential on a different kind of game. Yes. Okay. I've never played Oracle of Ages nor Oracle of Seasons, so those bad boys are going in the D for didn't play. Phantom Hourglass, the DS boys. Take a look at this game. I'm serious. Like, this game, underrated. Phantom Hourglass was super cool. And like, just the drawing line system they did with the stylus in it, not for everyone, but I think it's a really cool game, and it's good enough to put it in the darn tootin' category because it's a darn tootin' good time. Next up, oh, we had to come here next, didn't we? Oh, baby, I'm putting Skyward Sword right in the trash tier because, hear me out here. Hear me out. Skyward Sword is an uninspired, boring piece of trash. Okay? It followed up. It was the follow-up to Twilight Princess, which I'll talk about Twilight Princess down the way. But Skyward Sword, one, the controls were a mess when it came out. I don't want to like have hope for the re-release, which does add non-motion controls, which is a plus. But like, and actually the motion controls do look kind of okay maybe, but based off of how they tried to implement that and force you to play with that in Skyward Sword, bleh. In terms of level design, I found this game to be just abysmal. Super bland. I didn't like really any of the locations. I didn't like the way the levels looked. I just remember everything being super Dr. Seuss-esque is the way I'm gonna put it. I just remember like a weird sort of like Dr. Seuss kind of like vibe going through this game, and I just wasn't here for it. Okay, I think that probably might actually be even more debated than Breath of the Wild is if Skyward Sword is a good or a bad game. People love to argue about that. So like, that's my take on it. Trash tier game. You might love it. That's fine. It's your opinion, whatever. But like, screw that game. Next up, we got Spirit Tracks. Spirit Tracks is not as good as Phantom Hourglass, but it's still an okay game. It's not trash tier. It's really not. So I'm going to put it right there. Okay? Next up, Zelda the Minish Cap. I made a tweet about this the other day, I think. Yeah, it was a couple days ago. Zelda the Minish Cap is a real underrated game. You don't hear people talking about it very much when they're talking about like what their favorite Legend of Zelda game is. So, because of that, because of how underrated I think it is, I gotta put in the darn tootin' category. It's a really, really cool game. I remember my brother playing it when I was a kid, and then years, like I played Minish Cap for the first time myself like a few years ago now. But like, it's just a cool game. It's a really, really fun, cool game. And I use the words fun and cool a lot. I'm just noticing that as I speak. But I think that it's a super underrated game and definitely one worth looking into. So go play the Minish Cap, okay? Just go play Minish Cap. Yeah, we're good. Wind Waker. Wind Waker is a god tier game, okay? One, the original origins of Toon Link, who some people may hate because of Smash games, but like, it was a cool, like, aesthetic change to the Legend of Zelda universe, and I think a well-deserved one, especially like leading into the follow-up, which was Twilight Princess, I think, if my timeline's correct. But like, Wind Waker, just like the whole vibe of it. One, y'all talk about Breath of the Wild being open world. Have y'all even seen Wind Waker? You get a boat and shit, like, dude. Plus, you get the actual Wind Waker, and you can conduct your way magically through everything. But I think there are some really, really cool elements in Wind Waker that went on later to play into Breath of the Wild. Some of the stealth mechanics of the game were super cool. I remember specifically really early in the game, there's the fortress you have to go to. And just like the way you're able to sneak through that game, it's very reminiscent to me, at least, of Metal Gear Solid. But like, just adding that into the Zelda universe with this whole like makeover, kind of a brand makeover, I guess. Super, super cool thing, okay? And level design wise, it's like super varied at least, but in a way that's cohesive to the world. So things like the vibes are still kind of the same, but like you get a lot of varying ideas within that world, especially because it's like a bunch of islands, so it works really well. Also, I had distinct memories of the Rito place. I think it's the Rito, if I remember correctly. The Bird Boys being like just a super cool area. I don't know why that location specifically is like stuck in my head, but that one was awesome. Next game, Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. This one, okay? Twilight Princess. I don't know why the first thing that comes to mind when I think of this game is the fact that the Wii version and the GameCube version are like swapped in terms of directions. I don't remember why that comes to mind, but like, I think it's a really cool game, and this is gonna be a weird comparison, but Zelda Twilight Princess is Sonic Unleashed done right, where you have these sort of two varying level design kind of forms. You have human form and wolf form, and they're two different things, but they work together so well, unlike in Sonic Unleashed, where it's kind of just a bad mix. The two different form idea works really well in not Breath of the Wild, my god, Twilight Princess. And so I think I'm gonna put it up here as a darn tootin' game. It's not one of my favorite of all time, but it has some really cool ideas, a really cool change system, and you get Midna, who's a really, really cool character. And I don't know why people want to see her in Smash, but that's a different video entirely. Okay, we're on to our last game. I think y'all know right where this is going. It's going to the It's Okay tier, because so many people think that The Adventures of Link is a trash tier game, and it's not anywhere near as good. And it's a complete tonal shift when it follows up the original Legend of Zelda. But I think it's still a pretty fun game. And even still, The Adventures of Link also went on to inspire many games later down the line, which is what saves it from that trash tier that some people like to put it in. It still has like a wide breadth of influence, especially to 2D side-scrolling games in general. So, you know, I think it belongs in the It's Okay tier. The only game in the Legend of Zelda series that I would call truly trash is Skyward Sword. Thanks for watching.